Okay, so today we're having a look at tariff systems and break-even analysis, or the break-even point. Introducing the problem is found on page 36, where Nashua photocopy suppliers have 3 different contracts. Okay, I've simplified this for you. So this is contract 1. Okay, contract 2 and contract 3. So what we have to do in order to do a break-even analysis, we've got to go and write the formulae to determine the total monthly cost. So what we then have to do is the monthly rental fee is going to be what cost? Is your monthly rental going to change every month? No. So that is going to be the fixed cost. So if you sign up a contract with them, contract 1, you're going to pay 500 Rand. Look to continue. Okay. Okay, so contract 1 is 500 Rand. So you're going to pay that if you have a contract with him. Contract 2 is 650 Rand. And contract 3 is 1,050 Rand. Okay. Additional fee is 35 cents per page. So to work out the fee, you are going to plus, right, we are going to change 35 cents into Rand so that our formula has the same unit all along. So 35 cents is 0,35. This is going to be 0,25, and this is going to be 0,10. Interesting to note, the higher the contract, 1,050, you're only paying 10 cents a page. That's often what happens, okay? And then have a look. This contract is more expensive, but you get 1,000 free pages. So how do we work out what the cost is? Well, you're going to pay the fixed cost every month. And then over and above that, you have to pay per page. So if I look at contract 1, I don't get any free pages, so I'm going to have plus number of pages times by 0,35. So 35 cents times the number of pages you use, and then you add 500 Rand onto that. How would I work out contract 2? If we used 1,000 pages, how much do you pay for? You pay for 500. If I use 2,000 pages, how much do you pay for? Okay, so how did we get that? So you took number of pages. What did you do then? Okay, minus 500 pages, and then you multiplied by 25 cents. This is similar to how the cell phone contracts worked, if you remember that. Okay, so the next one, the last one, I'm going to work out how. Okay, number of pages minus 1,000 pages times 10 cents. Okay, what's going to happen here if you only use 800 pages? Okay, you understand that? Okay, remember I said if you use 2,000 pages, how much do you pay for? Well, you've got 1,000 free, so you only have to pay for 1,000, because 2,000 minus 1,000, you only have to pay for 1,000. Okay, but say now you use less than your 1,000. If you use 800, if you put that number on your calculator, you would have got minus 200. But you're not going to say minus 200 multiplied by 10 cents. Okay, so if it is less than 1,000, then this doesn't come into play. Then all you're going to pay is 1,050 Rand for the rental. So obviously you're going to look at which contract suits you depending on the number of pages you use per month. Are you all happy with that? Okay, so now you would have to, and remember, before you can draw a graph, you always have to have a table of values. And to draw up a table of values, you had to have the formulae. So if you've got the formulae, you can draw up your table of values. So if I have no copies, then I would pay 500 Rand, 650, and 1,050 Rand. Okay, you would use your calculator. Contract 1, you would go 500 plus 100 times 35 cents. And so you would get all your values. Now I've done it for you. And so you would get all your values here. Okay, let's talk about this here. Up to here, you can see 650, 650, 650. Why? Because you're getting a free 500. As soon as you go to 501, you start paying. So it's similar to a cell phone contract. So let's have a look what happens here. You would have to get to 1,000. Okay, 1,000, and as soon as you have one page more, you're paying 10 cents for that page. Okay, what would the graph look like for each contract? Well, remember, you can decide which, whoopsie, you can decide which is which. Just, let me lock this in place. Lock in place. Okay, now it won't wiggle. 500, that is where contract 1 starts. So you have a contract, whether you make no pages or whether you make 500 pages, you are going to pay them 500 Rand. This one was, it was 650, and this was 1,050. Okay, you understand why those graphs start like that. Is this graph a graph of direct proportion? Yes or no? Why'd you say yes? Okay, it goes up at a constant rate, but the other thing, it had to go through 0. So this is not direct proportion because it doesn't go through 0. Okay? Right. Contract 1, there are your contracts labeled. Now what we are going to look at, and you have to understand this, wherever a graph crosses, you have to talk about what is happening here. So we've got to talk about what is happening there. Okay, so let's have a look and see. Well, in this region, which is the cheapest? The blue one is the lowest, so this is the cheapest contract for 500 Rand. Okay, here this goes up in twos, 2, 4, 6. Okay, so the blue graph, which is contract 1, for 500 or less, contract 1 is the cheapest. The most expensive is this here, because it's right at the top, and that is contract 3. Are you happy with that? Okay, then I have to go and look at where the next crossing comes. Do you see? I look for where two graphs cut each other. So this is my next point of intersection. Now I'm looking at this region here. I'm finished with that first region. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to look at this region. Right, and that is between 500 Rand and 1,000. Okay, this would be, that's 1,800 Rand. Do you see that you have to look at your bottom axis as well? So now, if I make copies 500, between 500 and 1,800, the cheapest contract is this red one, okay, which is contract 2. So if I go over 500 copies, the red graph is going to be the better one. Contract 3 is still the most expensive. Okay. Then what you have to do, you take your next point of intersection, which is there, and that is between 1,800 and 2,800. Contract 2 is still the cheapest. Contract 1 is now the most expensive. And contract 3 is second expensive. As soon as I go over 2,800 copies, then you will see contract 3 is the cheapest. Do you all understand that about the graphs? You have to, and I'm telling you now, in your test you are going to get graphs where you have to analyze what is going on. When we ask you what is going on, you have to talk about every region. So where the graphs cross each other, you need to talk about what's happening in this one, then in that one, then in that one, because the situation changes for each one of those scenarios. Yes? How do we talk about the y-axis? Well, yes. So in other words, you are looking for your point of intersection. Okay? You will see your blue graph is the lowest. So it is 500 Rand is the lowest, and it goes up to 450, maybe. Okay? Then over here, so this is in relation, pages are linked to the cost. The more pages you photocopy, the more expensive it's going to be. But remember, we had some free pages. That's why they are more cost effective for certain areas. Right, so basically what we did here, 1,800 pages would cost 1,000. Now that was worked out mathematically. Section 1, there was your intersection, 430 pages, cost 650 Rand. Intersection 3 is here, 2,830 cost approximately. Can you see this is now where your cost comes in? Because we have now found this point, 1,230. Right, I need to remind you that when you draw a graph and it says use your graph to answer the questions, it is not a mathematical calculation. You use your graph, you read off there, and you write what your graph says. If your graph is wrong and you've answered correctly from your graph, you get the marks. We have to do a bit of appropriate terminology. Equal to, not equal to, greater than and equal to. So in other words, it's included. So if it's greater than or equal to, it means that value plus all the values above. Less than and equal to. Between, so between is not the numbers included. It's the 2 points where the numbers are not included. From includes both numbers, the beginning and the end. Okay, we've just spoken about the regions, and that was exactly what I highlighted for you. You talk about that, then you talk about this section, then that section, then that section. And it's which one is cheaper. So you are taking the cost into account, and you are taking the number of pages into account when you are explaining which is the cheapest or which is the most expensive. Okay, we've dealt with all of these. And that's it. Exercise 1. Are there any questions? Okay, please. Yep.